Hey everybody, this is Jordan from PictureMonk.com and welcome to episode 54 of the PictureMonk Photography Podcast. Sorry I was out last week. There was just a lot of stuff going on. And then I'm surprised that I was able to get through Easter holiday without missing some of the videos that I was going to put out the following week. So just to touch on that, Monday I did put out a video on the on how to use or how to perform some of the actions in the Google Nick collection that was released for free, and that's actually part of the news today, so I'm just going to kind of roll into it real quick. So Google released the Nick software that they bought out a long time ago, and they released it for free, $150 value. If you haven't downloaded it yet for Lightroom and Photoshop, it's totally free, and you can go to google.com/Nick collection, or you can find a link to it at the show notes for the episode at PictureMonk.com/PMP054. So I'll have a thing there, and I did a video on the YouTube channel just showing you after you install it how to use it and what kind of where it's located. And so go check that out. That's a really big thing. I think I've touched on that a couple times, and I'm just really excited that they released it for free. I've always been wanting it, especially the Define plugin. Really awesome at removing noise in your photos. So if you have an older camera, or your camera that you have is just kind of poor when it comes to higher ISOs, that software works really, really great with removing noise. So the other news thing, I think I'm just going to keep calling it news. I don't know why, even though it's not news. But there's a photographer who, a Canadian photographer named Waldo Neal, photographed through a microscope, which is actually kind of cool. The abstract art using peacock feathers. I saw the title of the article and I was just like, whatever, blow by it. I'm not going to read it. And then I saw a picture that was included in the article and I was like, holy crap. So these images are awesome of just peacock feathers just zoomed in really close, really macro shots. And so, wow, you need to go check those out. So I'm going to put a link to that as well in the show notes, so you can check that out. And I'm actually going to talk about something with that for my widget of the week for this week. So, let's get into the listener question of the week. I'm just kind of rolling by these really fast because I really want to get to the main topic. So the listener question of the week is actually two questions, and I chose two because the first one I just think is a ridiculous question, and I thought I'd let this person know how I feel about it. And then the second one is actually a legit question. So this question is from a Tommy J from Australia, and they said, how do I use my DSLR flash with my iPhone? And I just think that's a ridiculous question. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to use an off-camera flash? Well, I know why you wouldn't want to use an off-camera flash, but why would you want to use a DSLR flash? I don't get it. But to answer your question, I guess it is possible if you shoot in burst on your iPhone. Shoot in burst mode, and then as you're taking the burst shots, you manually trigger your flash. I think that's the only way you can do it. There might be some stuff out there that somebody's invented to plug into like the headphone jack or something and control a flash. But again, I don't know why you would want to do that. But to answer your question, as far as I know, that's the only way you can do it. So, thanks Tommy for the weird question. And so the next one, the real question is, do you know of a way to mock up my photos so I can give a customer an idea on how they will look on their wall? Diane Wells from the UK. Yes, I do have a Photoshop file, because you can really only kind of do that in Photoshop. I do have a Photoshop PSD file that I normally use to kind of put my photos in a frame, and you can mat it or not mat it, and you can just see how it looks on the wall. And so I can provide that to you. Whether you can change it to suit your needs, I don't know, but I can put that out there for you. It's just a stock photo that I pulled, and I made a frame around where the photo would go, and it's only in landscape orientation. I might make another one for vertical orientation or portrait, if everybody's wanting something like that, but that's what I have right now. And so I can put that out there for you. You can download that at the show notes, picturemonk.com/PMP054. So hopefully I don't say that hardly any more in this episode. All right, so let's go ahead and get the real topic. Real topic this week is starting/improving your portfolio website. I've kind of touched on some spots of this, and I got 15 little things that just kind of rolled off my brain here. 15 little tips-ish, I don't know, somewhat tips, that could help you with your portfolio website or your photography website, because there's two different things when you have a photography website. In general, they are photography websites because you're mainly promoting photography. But what kind of direction do you want to go in that? So I'm going to touch on that in just a second. But the first thing that came across in my mind is, what service are you going to use? I mean, are you going to build it yourself? Not a lot of people do that anymore. Are you going to use a service like I use, like Squarespace? You have Zenfolio out there. You have Wix. And you have WordPress, and there's tons more, obviously. 500px is one. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. But which service would you use? Now, I'm just going to touch on the 4 that I just highlighted real quick. And Squarespace, I think, is amazing. That's what I use. I wish I had a code to give you guys to give me credit if you use Squarespace, but I don't. But Squarespace is great. It's very clean, very easy. The templates are beautiful. I really love how every template looks in there, and I just kind of want to try all of them, but I got to pick one. So I love that. Zenfolio, I do love Zenfolio, not because of the design portion, the way they look. Functionality is great when it comes to the user perspective. If you're downloading files, if you're a portrait photographer and you put your photos out there and people can order directly from the site and they can download them and do all that kind of stuff. I think that's a great service. The back end is a little wonky for me. Not really into that, especially now that I've gone to Squarespace, because their back end is way better than Zenfolio. Wix is another one. A lot of people don't use Wix or haven't even heard of it. So real quick, I think it's a company from some other country. I don't know. I think that's where they're out of. Somebody's probably yelling me on the other end, going, it's from blah. But Wix is like a WYSIWYG, like a what you see is what you get. So you can drag in different elements. Like if you want a photo exactly right here, you drag in a spot for that photo and put it there. You want your text exactly lined up like this, you put it there. Whereas in templates that you download, kind of that's where the text goes, that's where it's going to stay, that kind of thing. So Wix is actually like you building how your photography website looks. There are no templates. Well, there's some templates, but most of the time the templates suck and you just don't want to use any of those. So whenever I have used Wix, I always just build my own and just make it the way I want to go. WordPress, I use WordPress for the blog, for the PictureMonk blog, but I don't know hardly anybody who uses it for a portfolio, just because there's a lot of better services out there when it comes to, a very visual design aspect. There's a lot of beautiful WordPress templates. I love all of them. But if you're really big into coding and you know how to do all the CSS and all that kind of stuff, by all means do that. I have no idea any of that stuff. Whenever I want to add a plugin to my website, I'm like digging and trying to find and read, and I have no idea. But but if you are smarter than me, which a lot of people are, then that is a really good service to use. But still, I would recommend something like Squarespace. So that was all number 1. So hang in there, guys. We got 14 more to go. Let's see. What direction, this is kind of a note to myself, what direction just to portfolio services or orders? So what I mean by that is kind of what I was talking about earlier. What direction do you want your site to go? Do you want it to be just where you can show your images and people can come look and go, ooh, look at that, it's amazing? Or do you want it to be where kind of what mine is slowly gearing towards more and more is a service with real estate photography? Do you want people to look at your stuff and then immediately go try to contact you to hire you? Or do you want people to place orders like in landscape photography, stock photography, stuff like that? So you got to kind of figure out what direction you want to go, and kind of push your content there. So like if you're wanting to place orders, like let's say you're a landscape photographer, you want massive images on your site at all times. You want every page to have an image, which I'm going to talk about coming up here in a little bit. You want images just to be at the person all the time, and then you want to be able to kind of what the user the listener Diane Wells was saying. You want to be able to showcase how those landscape photos would look. You want to be able to have a blog where, hey, I just sold this print to somebody and look how good it looks on their wall. So like, you want to do stuff like that, especially if somebody buys me a print and I know them, I've talked to them before. I really want to have a photo of them with their print. I think that's a great thing. That's a great promotional thing for you, and it just shows the appreciation for that person. So that's something you want to make sure you include stuff like that, not just photo, buy from me. You know what I mean? You kind of want to create an environment around that. So and then that kind of goes into tip number 3 is large images. When you're a photographer and you have a photography website, most of the images or most of the website that you see have really amazing images, and they're the whole screen. They don't have much when it comes to wording and all that kind of stuff, because they want the image to do what it's supposed to do. And so big images is what I'm all about. I can't really do that with my site. I do put them in spots as much as possible, but big images are the key, especially on a phone. You don't want your image to be like a small banner at the top, and then they're like squinting to try to figure out what is zooming in. They can't do that. So, you want to have big images to make a big impression, basically. Why didn't I just start with that? Big images for big impressions. Why didn't I kind of wasted your guys' time. Tip number 4 is gallery images between 15 and 20. If you are, unless you have tons and tons of images, then you could probably break that up into more. But usually what I see is really good galleries. Like if you have a landscape gallery, 10 to 15 are your best images. And if you don't have enough, like if you let's say kind of what I started out in, I guess I had a landscape category. I had I guess I had a small portraits category, wildlife. I'm trying to think of categories that I could have had. And, if you go to my landscape category, which was heavy on what I normally did, there'd be like 20 images in there. But then you go to my portraits and there'd be 3. So then you got to kind of determine, do you want to hurry up and try to build up your portfolio a little bit by taking pictures of friends or something and put some images out there? Or do you want to just remove it all together? Because, it kind of looks dinky when you have major landscape stuff over here and then like 2 or 3 images here, 2 or 3 images there, that kind of thing. So try to keep your gallery images between 15 to 20 of your best stuff. And even if you go below that, not a big deal. Like for mine, my real estate stuff, I don't have enough images right now to separate it into exterior stuff and interior stuff. I don't have enough right now. I'm going to get there, but that's all I have right now is just one gallery full of real estate, and it's got everything in there that I did, and it's probably going to be more than 20 until I can break it up. But yeah, it's okay to have one big gallery as well. Let's see. Tip number 5, separate categories or all in one. It's kind of what I was talking about. Make sure you have, that one category. If you don't have enough images to fill it up, make sure that one category has all your best stuff. If you can break it up, good to go. You need to do that as long as you don't make it look bad. Let's see. Images on every page. That's another one. Images on every page. When I first put a portfolio website out there, I had really big images on my homepage. And then all my interior stuff was words, just stupid words. And it was like, about me, hey, how's it going? But it had no pictures. It had nothing. I mean, it had a picture of me, which nobody wants to see. But it was just nothing. It was just words. So the only way to see photos was to go back to the homepage. And so you want to have that homepage reaction. When they first hit your page, whoa, look at those photos. but you need to keep hitting them with the photos all the time because that's what you are. You're a photographer. You have photos. So I make sure I have a photo on every page of my website. It's at the banner at least. And it shows, sort of what pertains to that page. Let's see, make your about page informative. When I say some of this stuff, don't take it as the gospel because some of this stuff is also to help me remember to do some of this stuff. So like my about page has a little bit about me and, it has a picture, but I need to make it more informative. I need to have more pictures of me actually doing what I say I do. So I need when I go out to take a photo of something, I need to make sure I have a picture of me taking the photo to show that, I was in this cool location taking this photo and I actually do what I say I do. So make it informative, make it personal. People like to read about you, not just the so-and-so has been taking photography for 12 years. No, you want to make it personable. So again, I'm starting to do that. I'm trying to get to there. So I think that's a really important thing. A lot of the great photography websites I read have a really extensive about page, and it's almost too much to read. But once you get done reading it, you really know that person a lot. Let's see. Contact. Always give a time frame to when you're going to respond if somebody responds or if somebody contacts you through your contact page. I have within 24 to 48 hours. Usually I get back with them, 2 hours. But at least they know they can expect a response at some time. They don't want to be typing into a black hole and just never get anything or get something and it's 5 days later. So it also makes you accountable as well. Let's see. Number 9, blog your shots. So blogging on your website I think is a major thing, because now we're kind of getting into the kind of what I was talking about earlier with steps 1 through something, where like design elements and how your website looks. Now I'm kind of getting into a little bit of the technical aspect as much as I can. But blogging your shots, not only does it give somebody visiting your website more information about you and the amount of stuff that you do, but it also helps in SEO, which is great. It constantly refreshes your page. Google sees that at some point. The Google bots come out and they search and they say, hey, this page is getting updated. And it allows you to do keywords. It allows you to do meta tags and stuff like that. So the more blogging you do on your website, the more potential eyes you have. So I can't remember if I talked about this in a very, very early episode, but a good way to kind of visualize that is picture your blog as this center element right here. So if you're listening to this on the headphones, just use your imagination. But if you're watching this, picture your blog is like right in the center of a piece of paper, just right in the middle. And so every time you write a blog, it's another road leading to your blog. So you got a road coming here, a road coming here, a road coming here, a road coming here. And every blog that you write is another road. And every meta tag that you use is another street off of that road. And they all keep connecting. So those are all potential ways for somebody to filter back into your website and hire you, contact you, look at your stuff, promote you. That's the best way that I know to say it. Pretty links is another thing. Pretty links are basically these short URLs, kind of like how I say PictureMonk.com/something. Pretty links are the something after the slash. They allow somebody to easily come to your website and they don't have to go to like PictureMonk.com/blog/category/mimic/whatever. They don't have to do all that. They just hit that one spot, and pretty links are really helpful. A website service like Squarespace easily allows you to do that, and I make sure to do that on all my interior pages, especially because again, not only does that make it easier for somebody if they copy and paste the link or whatever, but it also helps with SEO because Google can actually read the slash after something. So if you have slash, for my case, Greensboro Real Estate Photography, most likely you're going to see the slash Greensboro Real Estate Photography after my webpage, and it's going to show up as one of the higher page results. So just another way to get your SEO going. 11, I just typed in SEO. I'm basically talking about that already. But yeah, SEO, using your meta tags, tagging your images with keywords. I think I talked about that before. Making sure that you keyword everything that you do, every blog page, every image, especially every image you upload to your website. It needs to have keywords galore all over it. So just do like keyword, whatever your keyword is, hyphen, keyword, hyphen, keyword, hyphen, keyword, hyphen, keyword, hyphen. Just keep going all the way until you can't think of any more, pretty much. Let's see. Number 12 is register your Google website now. Just make sure you register with Google. You can do that if you want to register just a website. You can do that through the Google Webmaster. So just type in Google Webmaster, and then it'll take you there, allow you to sign into Google, do all that stuff. And also, if you are a local business that's actually trying to get jobs, not just like sell stuff, but if you're trying to get jobs, register your website on Google Businesses, the Google Businesses page, and put as much information as you can there. Verify your address. If you're worried about people seeing your address, because that's a concern for a lot of people, is you can actually specify when you put in your address, do you want to promote services to a specific radius from that address, which is very key. So when you type in your address, it's going to put a pin, on the page where your address is. And you can say, I want to do services around that point. So like 50 miles. So it's going to draw like a big circle around there. And when people come and see your Google listing, they're not actually going to see your address. They're just going to see that big circle of where you promote your stuff, your services. So that's a key thing. You don't want to put your website or your address in there and people think that you're like a brick and mortar store and actually drive up to your front door. That would be kind of bad. Google Voice, that's a big thing. This is not necessarily a website thing, but if you are, again, promoting services, portrait services, whatever, and you don't want to use your personal cell phone, you can actually use Google Voice. It's been around for a while. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard of it. But I use that daily. My Google Voice number is on my account, or my website, and it rings directly to my phone, but it's not my phone. I can turn it off, do not disturb anytime, so nobody can contact me. I can make it forward to where it automatically leaves a voicemail. It doesn't ring to my phone. They just have to leave a voicemail. Really great service. You just have to make sure you use it, I think at least once a year for it to retain your phone number. So really great. I definitely recommend that. Business email, that's basically just make sure you have something that has your name in it. A lot of people used to like kind of poo-poo the something at google.com or something at yahoo.com. I think a lot of people still poo-poo the yahoo.com. But normally now, Google email addresses are still kind of acceptable when it comes to your business. So that's why I have PictureMonk at gmail.com, because it's free and I don't have to go to like a service like GoDaddy or whoever to go get my email through. Yes, it does look better to have like Jordan at PictureMonk.com, but I'm not going to pay just to have my name on that. I'm going to have PictureMonk at Gmail, done. And then the last one, mobile friendly. A while back, Google, I'm talking about Google just because they're the most popular. Everybody knows that. Google said that, if you have mobile friendly website, your website will be listed higher on research results. And that's a big thing. Squarespace automatically does that. I'm not getting paid for Squarespace, by the way. I keep recommending it, but I'm not getting paid for it. I just really love it. Squarespace automatically makes a mobile version of your website. It automatically conforms to what Google sees, so don't have to worry about that. I think Zenfolio does that as well. But if you are building your website or if you're using a different service and you want to check to make sure your website is mobile friendly, just go to Google and type in Google mobile friendly, and there'll be like a tester where you put in your URL, hit analyze, and it'll tell you what it sees and certain ways to kind of correct it. So that's it. That's some of the tips there. kind of blew through those really fast, but they're really important things. There's tons of stuff to talk about when it comes to website and stuff, so I might do another podcast at some point. But that's just some of the stuff that was running through my mind, and just kind of wanted to throw that at you guys. So my widget of the week, as I kind of talked about with one of the news articles about the Peacock guy, my widget of the week are macro rings. So macro rings, I hope I didn't talk about this before. Macro rings are rings that you put in between your camera lens and your DSLR, and it expands the distance between the sensor and the lens, which in turn allows you to focus in on things that are really small. So it basically converts your lens into a macro lens. Not as good as a traditional macro lens. However, I would rather spend $50 or even $100. I think that's what they are. I can't remember. I would rather spend $50 to $100 for that than $30-something $100 for a regular macro lens. So I'm going to attach the rings that I use. I really love them. And I might, if I get some time, I might try this. I might take some photos with the macro rings that I got so you can see how they work. But just trust me, they're really great. And what's cool about the rings that I have are, if you get the cheaper ones that are like $5 or $10, you lose the functionality of your aperture in your camera, because your camera can't talk to the lens anymore. But the aperture rings that I have, the macro rings that I have, are still able to, your lens and your camera are still able to talk. So you can still change your f-stop to f/22 to try to get more depth of field in your images. Probably still have to focus stack when it comes to stuff like that, but still, for the price, at least you'll know if you want to further your enjoyment of macro. You can test it out using that, and then decide whether you want to do macro later on. So I'll put those on the show notes at PictureMonk nope, that's not it. PictureMonk.com/PrettyLink, PictureMonk.com/PMP054. I'll put a link to that as well, to the Amazon listing that I bought mine on. And that is it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm recording this during the day, so I have a little more energy when it comes to this kind of stuff. So thanks, guys, for joining me. I will see you guys next week. And don't forget to subscribe the podcast, review it, go to the YouTube channel, follow me on there, all the stuff you guys normally do. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you guys next week.